Hello there, one and all beautiful souls. This is Liz Grace Christie. Thank you for tuning into my channel, Galactic Mythology, a channel where you can tune in weekly to hear me deliver a forecast on the weekend ahead, Friday through Monday every week, through the lens of the goddesses in the practice of astrology, specifically speaking, the asteroid goddesses. I do talk about all the other planets involved in our solar system, but the focus here is on the goddesses. With that being said, this weekend is full of tension. We have tension between Pallas Athena and goddess Venus Aphrodite, along with tension with messenger god Mercury and the goddess of the threshold, Hekate, along with Vesta. We are starting this weekend off June 27th, 2025, with the moon in Leo conjunct Mercury at 0 degrees of the sign. This is getting that trine from Saturn and Neptune over there in Aries in the early degrees. There is right off the bat a level of Martian energy, more Mars influence throughout this weekend. And considering the climate of our globe right now within social economics, I would say we're pretty used to this more visceral sense of insecurity and survival due to the current events that are happening for all of us here on Mother Gaia. I'm not going to speak too much on the news because I personally do not watch it. I do get informed through the grapevine of my community, and I found it shocking that the events happened in the Middle East last weekend. I re-listened to my report for last weekend, and I definitely was more focused on the personal perspective, but you can boil down my words and get essentially a reflection of what we have all become aware of occurring in the Middle East as of last weekend. Carrying forward, we would like to use this more Martian, this force of power, this wave with Leo, who's very about the heart, to go behind exactly that, our heart. We want to be more expressive this weekend. With that moon conjunct Mercury right there on Friday, it is martial, Mars. However, let's use that energy to go out and write a play or sing a song or enjoy actually like playing with your animals and your children for once. It's very supportive. Having conversations about fun. Mercury, the messenger god. There's going to be messages in our creative expression this weekend. There's messages in our heart. Messages that will give us peace and potentially some resolve to this crisis that we are experiencing on a global level. Let's bring in the squares. That's where a lot of the tension is coming from this weekend, is these squares. So I mentioned Pallas Athena and Venus. So Venus is coming up to square Pallas Athena, and they're natural enemies in the pantheon. And this is due to the fact that they're somewhat similar, both representing crafts in some way. However, if you look at Pallas Athena's glyph, she has a cross, but on top of that cross is a diamond shape. And that diamond shape represents piercing matter with mental ability. She's in the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is a revolutionary sign. It's a sign also in communications on a global scale, where Mercury's a little bit more within your city and town. So Pallas Athena is comfortable in Aquarius, sitting there at the 24th degree. Venus is comfortable in Taurus. So these two ladies are ready for a good fight. Venus's glyph has a cross, and on top of that cross is a circle, and that circle represents spirit. And that cross, a cross represents matter. So spirit fusing with matter, as if spirit is magnetized to matter. Venus is magnetic. Venus is initiation through our desires. And Venus will come to square Pallas Athena throughout the weekend, exacting and then separating. And then after that, she will come to conjunct with the rebel Uranus in Taurus. So it's almost like Pallas Athena is prepping. Pallas Athena in Aquarius, Aquarius being a sign associated with the planet Uranus. Pallas Athena is prepping Venus desires. So wisdom is prepping our desires for a revolution. Uranus in Taurus at the 29th degree. Let's talk about Hekate versus Mercury and the moon. So the moon comes to conjunct Mercury at 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because I report in Portland, Oregon, on Friday, June 27, 2025, which is a positive aspect in my book. We've been having Mercury in Cancer these last couple weeks, and we've had the sun move into Cancer this last weekend with the summer solstice, and we have had the sun conjunct Jupiter the last week in Cancer. So we are all emotionally aware right now as a collective. We are in our needs. This axis of Cancer and Capricorn is considered a survival axis. Cancer being what you need as a human, and then those things that are in your home that are outside of your personal being is Cancer. On the opposite side being Capricorn, Capricorn being associated with the 10th house, which is at the very top of the natal chart, and also associated with career and public personas and reputations. So survival, right? Capricorn's out there getting the bread, hunting, being the businesswoman or man, getting the money. And then Cancer is essentially spending the money on what the family needs, what the organism needs. Catch my drift. So we've had a saturation of me, mine, the last week. And that's good. I hope we've all been taking stock of ourselves and doing a personal inventory. This weekend, with the ingress of Mercury into Leo, we are getting the opportunity to express ourselves in a way outside of the home. We are ready to take our show on the road. We should all pretend that we're newsies and go get on a soapbox, because we got something to say this weekend. And this is definitely the weekend to say it outside of your close-knit communities. This is a debut weekend. We just also had that new moon in Cancer on last Wednesday, June 25th. So whatever happened June 25th, whatever catharsis, now you get to go celebrate. Moon in Leo likes to have fun. It is getting a trine to Saturn, so it's going to be karmic what you get into this weekend if it's fun. Neptune's there to lighten Saturn up a little bit, kind of like someone snuck some special brownies to dad and he doesn't know it, but he's actually enjoying himself. And the kids are just giggling and enjoying dad's energy as well. It's like an altered sense of consciousness is present after the fact that we've all been really in our feelings for the last week with that Cancer energy, the new moon, the sun, Jupiter, Mercury. We were just ready to literally let it all go in a way of expression through the heart, through the soul, through art. So it's positive. That's going to be an urge for us, especially with that activation with Pallas Athena. She's enhancing the downloads that we could potentially experience while we're acting through our Leo hearts this weekend. But we cannot ignore the fact that the moon and Mercury will be squaring asteroid goddess Hekate in the sign of the underworld and the unseen, Scorpio, 0 degrees, sitting there for a very long time. She's not going to move at all this weekend from that degree. And not too far away from her is asteroid goddess Vesta at 5 degrees of Scorpio. I'm going to hone in on the square between Hekate, Mercury, and the moon occurring on Friday, 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, June 27, 2025. And then we'll talk about Vesta. So, 0 degrees. Lots of potential in the number 0. Also a number, when you times it by any other number, it turns it into itself. It's kind of a cannibal. Sorry, not to be visceral, but there's something going on with consumption this weekend. Communion, How one gets stuck in one dimension is through communion with its beings, through either digesting them, sharing emotional interactions. Communion is interesting. Tends to normally suggest eating dinner or consuming food of a realm and therefore participating within its matter. There will be a lot of force this weekend coming from every single one of us alive, okay? Force in the sense of things are shifting and I need to shake my body. I need to move it around. I need to get into my body because I've been feeling so many things these last weeks and I just don't want to think about them anymore. It's a somatic weekend. So as much as we will be out there strutting our stuff, taking our shows on the road, we will be reminded of the things that pierce matter. Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena's glyph has a diamond shape on the top of a cross, the cross of matter, and that diamond shape is said to be a shield and sometimes considered to be a spear tip. Pallas Athena represents war. And right now, the talk of war is piercing our collective reality. We have planets, slower moving planets, Saturn and Neptune in the early degrees of Aries, a war archetype, but a archetype that also represents force through matter, being able to manipulate matter. I don't like that word. Craft matter in a way from our impulse Venus desire. It's the literal physical manifestation, Mars, projecting outward into the world, presenting its presence and taking up space. What sort of things do we allow to take up mental space in our life? And what sort of things are habitual through our ancestors that are taking up a lot of space in our lives and forming our lives physically around us in ways that we don't actually agree with? We are being asked to break the mold this weekend. Go out there, hit the streets, take that show on the road, stand on your soapbox, speak from your heart. Hekate squares. The moon and Mercury in Leo squaring Hekate is saying that it's visible now because a square is the most material aspect in a natal chart. It is a square, and Westerners love squares. So do the Egyptians. And I guess so does the whole world because it's a fundamental number that is seen in nature and used in a lot of division, such as the number 12. It's a component of 12. 3 times 4 equals 12. So there's physical, visceral reality pressing on us this weekend. And it is asking us to reflect on the last 3 weeks we had where we were watching our emotions come up to the surface, embracing them, communicating with our loved ones and our friends that we find close to us, and really incubating and taking this time to purify our desires and then to allow the challenge of the material world around us to shape us, but not shape who we truly are, our true Vesta vessel. So that Martian energy that I was talking about earlier, Mars is in Virgo, a earth sign, which is making a sextile to the water sign Scorpio. And this is really asking us to purify our fuels and to be meticulous with how we go about our days, from how we wake up to washing our dishes to folding our laundry, and to honoring this vessel and the material world and the challenges at hand. The Vestal Virgins back in the day of antiquity in the Mediterranean were responsible for keeping a fire burning all year round. It could never have a day off. They never had a day off. They are in full devotion. You never have a day off being in this human suit until your death. asteroid goddess Hekate is going to be speaking through our hearts this weekend. Listen to your heart. You've been diving and plunging and doing a lot of emotional work with that buildup of energies in Cancer with the sun, Jupiter, Mercury, and the moon last Wednesday. This is a time to really hone in on what you want to spend your next 5 years doing. This is the groundwork. I'm not kidding. And this weekend, however you spend it, with friends, by yourself, is going to show you where your heart is pulling you. I love you all. I hope you have a great weekend. You can connect with me on my website, galacticmythology.com. I offer astrology consultations along with a few other things. If you've been inspired, I encourage you to share my work. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. You will hear from me next weekend. I'm Lizz Grace Christie. Keep your heart burning and keep your fuel pure. Trust your shadow and trust that you are the light to that shadow. Bye, y'all.